Christmas break is over. Let's get back to the story. This week I'm giving away some free advice on how you can do great time lapses in 3 simple steps. Let's go. There's different ways to approach time lapses like this one, but good news is it's never been easier to do one yourself, and chances are high you can do one right now with only your phone. See, there's at least like 3 different ways to do time lapses, but basically all you need is a camera, a motif, and a tripod. Wow, the sun is beautiful today. It's sunny. Can you believe it? Global warming. The most basic way of doing a time lapse is taking pictures of the same motif over and over again, and then flipping them through at frames at higher than 24 frames per second, so your eye doesn't recognize them as single frames but as a video. It's the same technique that they're using for stop motion animation, and you can do it with any camera that does pictures. Best is actually digital pictures, less costly. Similar to these flipbooks you did when you were a kid. Like for example these windmills over there. Hallo. Hallo.
Fotografieren Sie?
Ich mache ein Video, ja? Ja.
Schön.
Ja.
Bleiben Sie gesund.
Bleiben Sie gesund, ja. Passen Sie auf sich auf. I love the people here. Single frames give you the most post-production finesse, especially when you take your pictures in the RAW format. It gives you a lot of control about different parameters like exposure, resolution, interval time, and amount of frames. But it's time consuming since you always need software to stitch together these pictures into a video, and it's almost a science to get good results, influenced by a camera's exposure and the light situations and so on. That means when the sun is setting and suddenly it's dark, it's tricky. If you find this interesting, I can recommend you a plugin called Timelapse. It's a great tool to get pro stuff out of your time-lapse footage, and there's a bunch of really good tutorials by the developer himself. Shout out. Or you just record a video and fast forward it to get the same time-lapse effect. It's a very simple technique because it barely requires you to do any post-production. You just take a video, fast forward it, and you're basically done. Because it's so simple, I use it in the intros of my videos so often. However, you don't need a lot of the data you're recording in your videos anyways. For example, half an hour of video at 30 frames per second equals around 54,000 single frames. But if you fast forward that to a 10-second video clip, you only need around 300 of those frames, but the other 50-something thousand video frames are just a pile of data rubbish occupying gigabytes of your data hard drive space. And that makes them a bit clunky to handle. Also, exposure at night on video is a bit difficult for your camera because of shutter restrictions and your ISO speed. And lastly, it also drains your battery to record for hours on end. Or very simply, use an app on your phone, like that cheeky time-lapse function in your iPhone's camera app. This is a game changer for time-lapse photography. It's just so simple. There's not really a con to it, I don't know. I couldn't come up with one. Except maybe if you know, the more processor does for you, the less you have control over it, like the settings and whatnot and everything, but it's minor things, honestly. Plus you always have it with you, so it's just no excuses not to do time lapses. Really. And that's it already, honestly. Boom. And lastly, some video cameras like GoPros or my clunky R5 camera have a compromise for you. It's called a time-lapse video function, and it's a compromise because it takes single frames usually and stitches them together into a video file right away. You have a bit of control over the settings like exposure and aperture, but you don't have the hassle of stitching together photo frames into a video. Alright, I set up my camera for a time-lapse, and while I'm waiting maybe some time for some background story. I love this topic because this is how I started filmmaking. Back in the day, my first camera was actually a Canon EF-1000D. It didn't have a record button for video, so I had to come up with a different way to record videos on my own, which was time-lapse photography. This year is my very first time-lapse that I created. That was in 2009. Back then I used a software called Virtual Dub to stitch the photos together into a video. When I reviewed the video for the first time, I was completely blown away because I was able to visualize time. I was blown away, really, it was crazy. So ever since then I've been just doing time-lapses wherever I go and whenever I have some free time on my hand. Be it at a boarding gate or a dinner party, it doesn't matter. You can always find something that is moving. Alright, 2 observations here right away. First of all, I didn't see it was that gusty, so making the wind visible, that's kind of cool. And the second is that you see the ground is a bit bouncy, which is due to the fact that I'm standing in a bit of wobbly terrain. So that affects how steady a time-lapse will be in the end. soon as the sun is gone though, it's getting frosty. Anyways, in order for you to get better time-lapse results, here are 3 pieces of advice. The key to a good time-lapse is preparation, because once you press the start button, there's not much changing it anymore. Otherwise, you notice it in the final video. Find a good motif. Or motive? I don't know. What is a good motive? Something that moves slowly but predictably. An easy motive for time-lapses outside to show time is clouds. At best in contrast to something big and sturdy, like a giant power plant. Examples that work well indoors are watches with a dial, baking, or anything involved with temperature and time changes, like this ice cube melting, or people moving, like this video I did a couple of weeks back. I've been using this egg timer for rotating GoPro time-lapses on the move, and a bunch of other stuff. Outdoors, road trips where you have a steady scenery work very well, like mountains. I think that's what you call hyperlapses then? Hyperlapses, right? Thank you. Or road trips at night, that also work well. Or why not take the entire world by itself as a motif? Also check out this video that I found while researching for this video. It's stabilizing the world around the Milky Way. I think that's super cool. It's not my video, but I think it's really cool. So, once you found your motive, set up your camera on a steady tripod and yeah, off you go. The essentials are camera, a full battery and a tripod. Otherwise, it's all wobbly. For a phone like this, that's pretty easy. You just have to put it somewhere. But for a photo camera like this one, it's a bit trickier. But again, quality can be a bit better. To be honest, if you're not a pro and want to do something crazy with your time-lapse footage, I recommend you to use the video time-lapse function that your camera has. I think that's sufficient for 99% of the cases. Oopsie. Next, no matter what camera you're using for a time-lapse, don't touch, don't change, don't move. That's the golden rules. Otherwise, you're gonna see it on your final video. Fasten the bolts on your tripod and let it be for some time. Trust me. And that's pretty much it. Not rocket science, is it? And of course, don't forget to post it online. Hashtag Insta or didn't happen. Now, I recorded that time-lapse in 4K to give me more room to move around, but usually HD is enough. If I would have had a smartphone with the time-lapse function back in the days, I wouldn't have to have these pictures stitched together into a video. As promised in the beginning, it's never been so easy. Trial and error, my friends. Anyways, that's pretty much it. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, hit the subscribe button and give me a like. Much appreciated. If there's something else you want to find out about film or photography, put it in the comments and it might be my next video. Take it easy and see you soon. Peace.